Live from Hampton, Virginia, and the Langley Speedway, round 12 of the Upstate Racing League and the Lake City RC Speedway Pro Late Model Series, race number 2 in our 5-race chase. And want to welcome you first off to LSRTV for the Langley Speedway. Myself, Evan Pasoko, as always, PDJ Zeller up at the booth, and as well Laura Lawson making the cameras work and all that good stuff. But PD, rolling out of a race 1 week ago at Concord, the small triangle, it claims it's a tri-oval. I'm not really sure the story behind that one, but coming into a race at Langley, a very small racetrack. However, a lot of drivers optimistic about this one. A lot of them have to be optimistic because we saw a lot of chase guys have trouble 1 week ago, and a lot of chase guys as well already trouble early. At least 2 of them aren't going to be making the start of it.
So that's insanity, folks. And the best part about all this is 2 guys, Justin Brooks and Cody Parker, have such a decent lead over everyone right now that everyone else is pretty far back. So what you have to think there is, maybe that's better because only 2 guys did survive, and it's more likely for them 2 guys to have issues than if 4 guys survived. So we will see as this race goes down what happens to those 2, but right now they have a pretty substantial lead over the rest of the field, as last week was just a big tear-up for everyone that was in the points contending positions. And Evan, it should be exciting tonight, though, to see if these guys from Langley, Virginia can take on this 2/5 of a mile track and bring it on.
In this racetrack at 0.40 miles, it is going to be, as pretty much all these chase races are, a 200-lap affair, tallying in at a total of 80 miles before this race is said and done tonight from the Langley Speedway. Again, under the lights, a very small racetrack, a very flat racetrack as well, sitting with just 6 degrees of banking in the corners, 4 on the straightaways. So essentially, it is a flat racetrack, which means that passing is going to be very difficult to do. We're going to see possibly the chrome horn, the bumper, something that drivers haven't been afraid to use so far. We've seen that quite a lot this season, and PD, we expect that to transfer over and, if anything, intensify as we go into these final 4 races now, and the excitement is only going to go up because there's a championship on the line. A lot of storylines we're going to let you know, and we'll talk about them throughout the night, but we're getting set to get going for this evening's Rent-A-Wreck of Plattsburgh, New York, 200 from Langley Speedway. Let's let you know where they're going to line up on the starting grid. Pole position, AJ Bunch said he was looking forward to this one. Pole for the number 23 car, at least going to be pole on the starting grid at 23. Going to lead us to the green flag to 5 of James Linkiewicz. Will start along in second, Chris Cable third, Tim Bills in fourth, and Dale O'Neill for a top 5.
In 6th tonight is Jeff Rivard. In 7th is number 4 Joshua Cotton. In 8th is Casey Kell, number 50. Brandon Odo's never lost an upstate race here from Langley Speedway. He's starting P9. And rounding out your top 10 tonight is the 3-time defending champion Justin Fuller in the 51.
And that 50 of Casey Kelly is the winner of the Perry Plumbing Heating and Cooling Pole Award. For the record, 11th got Cody Kelly, Justin Brooks, Charlie Ryan, Nicholas Rasmussen, Cody Parker through 15th position, Al Smith Jr., Dan DeBoot, Brian Rogers Jr., Ryan Borges, and Cody Myers through 20th. The next 5 rounding out our 25-car field, TJ Graves, Brandon Smizer, Zachary Mason, Jason McGlatchy, and Kevin Baker, all the way through to 25th position. Working on the pace laps, we said a couple of our chase guys are not here. Matt Wright is going to get a DNS, is unable to make it to the racetrack to get this one kicked off. That one going to be the nail in the coffin for his championship hopes, as well as the Eric Hag entry. One of the drivers who, although not making a chase, is a guy out there week in and week out. He did not make it to the B main, which, by the way, with the DNS of Matt Wright, made it so that only 1 car would not get to this main event for the B main. Unfortunately, it was the Hag entry. That was about a 7-car race, and he was the odd man out. So that's where everything stacks up for this 25-car, 200-lap field, and it's set to get rolling. Who survives round 2 of 5 in the chase, and who takes home the 12th trophy on the season? iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car down and away. Green flag flies at a quarter number 4, and a great restart on behalf of 5 of James Linkiewicz. He'll hold it side by side with AJ Bunch in a 1 and already pinching each other down the back.
James Linkiewicz pinching him down. AJ Bunch, this is his 3rd straight week starting from that 1st position. He takes the lead. Now battle for 2nd. Chris Cable, he's been quick, just hasn't had the luck. He's trying to get around that 5 of Linkiewicz. He's going to get by, and that will send Linkiewicz back to the 3rd position. Into the bumper of the 05. The 116 of Dale O'Neill did not want to wait there for the 5 machine. So that almost got sketchy real quick, folks, as they are still racing around this little half-mile oval. Best battle on the track between Fuller and Cody Kelly.
Yeah, that 5 had to get checked up for the 05. You talked about that battle back in the racetrack. 51 car catching the outside wall. If it is the Justin Fuller entry, working on that outside lane. Car down on his bottom, the 33 DuPont entry of Justin Brooks. These drivers have been known to get together a couple of times so far this season. They're already going after each other. 33 slides up as Fuller pitched down. There's contact for what's going to be P11, and Justin Brooks is going to get the upper hand in that exchange, so slide Fuller back to P12, and I don't anticipate that to be the only time tonight that they will fight, as well as the only time that they might get into each other as this night progresses. But so far, a pretty green and clean restart. First side-by-side battle now back by the 32 of Ryan Borges. For 15th position, the car going backwards, Charlie Ryan. The Jack Daniels entry, PD, stuck up high. And again, the racetrack very flat. The place to make the passes, rather, are down on that bottom lane. And we've seen it quite a few times tonight already. And a perfect example of that is that Ryan machine as he gets back in line, is you don't want to be stuck up high.
And that you do not. So here we are with still AJ Bunch leading this field, formerly known as Anthony Bunch, out here in the front right now. And as we look back through this field, just a lot of good racing going on. Single file track for the most part this is here. And one car I'm looking at is TJ Graves. He started in the 21st position. He's already up to 15. He's passing cars left and right here, Evan. He retired early in the week, said he was done with sim racing. He wrote a few songs about iRacing and said he missed it a lot, so he came out of retirement. Now he's back here in the Upstate Racing League, and he actually wrote a whole story about it, Evan. So TJ Graves out of retirement and already up to 15.
And he's up to P15 after starting 21st, so try to make his way back up to the field. But our leaders are, by the way, they are all over each other. Nobody getting any space. We're running 16-second lap time, so going to get just about 4 laps in at about a minute and change. And AJ Bunch still leads this race from pole position. But right now, second, Chris Cable had a little bit of a close call. Again, the 5 got into him, or nearly got into him. James Linkowitz probably should have dumped that 5. Did a great job of getting on the brakes, so he did not get into the 05 machine. And now it is Cable, who was all over AJ Bunch. And again, still early in the race, but the one thing you got to do to defend a position is hold that yellow line when it is there, when you're going down through 1 and 2 down to back straightaway. You don't want to give somebody the inside position. This is a racetrack, much like the Lucas Oil Raceway that we will see for round 4 later in the season, PD, where that one is pretty much the opposite but very similar. That racetrack you're going to be riding up against the outside wall, but you have to be very aggressive to make passes. And already 13 laps into this race, all 25 cars still on the lead lap and still green flag conditions.
Track, as surprising as may be, it produces a lot of green flag racing. It's hard to pass and it's hard to attempt to make a pass, so that makes things exciting. As I say, that was number 22 of TJ Graves into the bumper, number 32 of Ryan Borges. Watching this battle, because there's a lot of fast cars trapped in the back right around there. So P5 battle though, Casey Kelly trying to go around Jeff Rivard. Here comes Casey Kelly to the inside. He's going to clear Rivard, try to bring Cody Kelly, Justin Brooks with him. So them wheeling and dealing boys are already traveling to the front pretty quick here. Send Casey Kelly up to 6th, Cody Kelly to 7th, and Justin Brooks to 8th, and Rivard is going to fall all the way back to 9th. Wheeling and dealing, making moves already. And Brooks, he just needs to have a good finish tonight here, Evan. There is not a lot for him to lose with the week he had last week.
Yeah, after a poor finish for a lot of our chase drivers 1 week ago, in theory, you can only get better as these next 4 races progress. It's put a lot of them in a big hole, but again, anything can happen. And those drivers that were able to survive 1 week ago, they could still have trouble. So in no reason would you want to give up hope for these, besides the top 2 guys for these next 4 races. You talked about Jeff Rivard, that Monster Energy entry, found himself up on the high side, got back in line, and already back up the pace with the 37 of Tim Bills, who is going backwards. Tim's a driver that has been stellar in qualifying, PD, always near the front of the field in that area, and is now slid back to P10. And again, the way the field is inverted with those B main advancing drivers going in front of the guys on the grid, you think it would have given an advantage to Tim, but right now he slid back to P10. Don't think you can count that ElliottRealty.com machine out of it though, because he always seems to be able to pick up the pace midway through the race and really put on a strong charge at the end. But he's pinned between that 49 of Jeff Rivard and right behind him the 51 of Justin Fuller, who again, as you said earlier, already caught the wall and just clipped it again that time by the start-finish line.
Want to explain their qualifying system here a little bit. Tim Bills, you mentioned how he starts up front near the top 5. That in this league is, I guess, a good thing, but not necessarily to have a handicap rule. What that basically means is the guy who wins the pole in their qualifier will start position number 12, and whoever qualifies position number 12 will start on the pole, and vice versa throughout the whole entire top 12 gets reversed. So Anthony Bunch has actually been really lucky these last few weeks. He qualified 12th every time, and that's how he's leading this race right now, Evan. So Anthony Bunch, just luck of the draw almost here, leading this race due to that handicap rule. So that's just a little bit about their qualifying procedures here as we look throughout this field. Not a whole lot going on up to this point. Everyone's just trying to stay friendly with each other, but we're just watching these three wheeling and dealing cars drive through the field, and just I think it's a matter of time before they start really attacking.
The top two at a racetrack are really trying to pull away from these guys now. AJ Bunch still leads, Chris Cable still behind him, now a second to the good over that 5 car. The 78 we're hearing is one of these cars out here that is having some severe issues and is stuck up on the high side. It's the 71, rather, the 711 entry of Nicholas Rasmussen. He will just now tuck back in line behind that 16 machine of Charlie Ryan, and that's going to slide him back to what looks like it's going to be back there on the tail end of this lead lap right now, and going to cycle him into 16th position, 17th now, but again, 25 still on the lead lap. This is a rather small racetrack, at sitting at 2/5 of a mile in length, or 0.40 miles per lap around the racetrack, which means that this has been a stellar so far opening run, nearly an eighth of the race already done. But AJ Bunch is now going to have that concern, Petey, of working around lap cars, and not like it'll be later in the race where, you know, many of those lap machines will be significantly off pace. For the majority of the part of it is because they'd be, you know, injured from damage and stuff like that. If everybody's still green and everybody's still clean, it's going to be a little bit harder to get around these guys that are at the tail end of the lead lap, because they are off pace, obviously, with the speed of the leaders, but they're not way off by 10-15 miles an hour by damage. So the 23 is going to have to work a little bit more, and those lap cars as well going to have to keep an eye in the mirror. Don't want to be an interference in this battle for the top spot that, again, still sits just separated by under 0.2 of a second. Any sort of hesitation of half of that 23 trying to get around somebody could open up the door, and you could expect that 05 at Chris Cable to try to capitalize on that, because he is still tracing the back of AJ Bunch. That battle still for P1 and 2. They're good by a second over third position, and then third second, James Linkowitz is all by himself. He's good by over a second back to Brandon Odo, who needs 4 great races back to back to back to back after a terrible start to the chase as he sits in 4th.
So he's sitting here in 4th right now, and just looking at these guys trying to come through the field here. As we watch the 116 fall back, that's the 116 of Dale O'Neill. He got passed by all 3 of the wheeling and dealing machines. So Dale O'Neill sitting back there in position number 8. And we're just trying to watch a lot of these cars right now, see what they're going to do with the lap traffic. Brian Rogers appears to be the first in the chance going to go a lap down if we stay green. And AJ Bunch is quickly getting through his bumper here. This is just a quick little sprint race here tonight. 200 laps from Langley ain't nothing, as these guys are trying to probably getting a little bit dizzy, I'd have to think, Evan, with this thing being as circular as it is. You think of Oxford, but the thing that's frustrating about Langley is it's a lot tighter. There's walls here as they lap the number 12, Brian Rogers. When you're coming off the corner, it almost feels like you're going to hit the wall every time, but you get so nervous about it, you actually have an awful arc into the corner, and that can really slow you down here. So just watching these guys still going around the racetrack, they got to be really careful tonight about how they drive their cars, because it's really easy to underdrive a race car here, and Langley is certainly one of them tracks that can get you dizzy. They say Bristol's like that. Well, this little track right here, being as short as it is and as circular as it is, it's just insane going around here as they put yet another machine a lap down. That's the number 79. That almost slowed down the leader right there, as the 05 is now going to be right on his bumper.
And again, it's even the lap cars that are trying to stay out of the way, but you just catch them at a point, and if they yield high, again, you talked about it perfectly, the corner exit, and not sure if we can get it on board, but I had to kind of shut it off after a few laps because I was getting dizzy, Petey. But these guys, the wheel is never getting straightened out. It's constantly turned to the left, which you talked about, almost like a track like Oxford Plains, where coming out of the corner is essentially you already setting up for the entry into the next one. So if you want to stay a little bit further away from that wall, you're not going to get the arc into the next corner, you're not going to hit that apex, and you're going to have obviously a slower time. So you got to try to get as close to the wall as you can, right in the middle of the straightaways to arc it in. You're going on board right now. You'll see what the drivers are having to do, and it is tiring. So 200 laps, a fair distance at this one, closing in on the quarter distance, not too far, still clean and green all the way from the start, but it is almost an endurance race in the fact that it's pretty hard to maintain your composure for that period of time without making mistakes, especially if you're a guy like AJ Bunch with Chris Cable all over him, forcing you to maybe make a mistake.
And mistakes are something easy to make here. I like what you said there, Evan. You never stop turning here from the Langley Speedway. Oxford, you do get a break. Their straightaways are surprisingly longer. You can get that little bit of a break. Here, there is no break. You're constantly turning. You don't talk. People say sim racing isn't a sport, and I'd agree to that fact, but if there's a track that's going to tire you out, it would be this course. You never stop turning, and cautions are almost fun here at Langley because, man, this is an aggressive track to drive. As we watch number 23 of Anthony Bunch still lead here over Chris Cable. Cable is now looking in his mirror because Linkwitz is still there, and so is Odo, but that 50 car is getting closer and closer to that number 24, so he has to be worried about all these machines in his mirror right now. They all seem very fast. The only one that I really don't think is faster than him is James Linkwitz, and Linkwitz isn't slow by any means here. So watching this whole line of cars here, the 5, 24, 50, and 3, they're all lined up right in a row, getting ready to battle it out. 33 on the end of that, too. Here comes the 24 right up behind James Linkwitz. Linkwitz gets loose off the corner. Have to expect the 24 to use the bumper here. Will be interesting to see how he approaches this pass. And he's going to get right there. Remember, he's never lost an upstate race from Langley, and he wants to keep that streak alive here tonight. 3-time winner this season, Brandon Odo, looking at a 4th here, and almost as interesting as Justin Fuller's streak, Brandon Odo's streak is just as good at this racetrack. Fuller's never lost a championship. Odo's never lost a race from Langley.
It's funny because we talk about a racetrack like this being at 2/5 of a mile in length. It's very small. It is very close quarters. It's essentially one lane, and you would expect it to be a lot of beating and banging. Well, it is, but so you would anticipate yellows. But we were talking before the race, PD, with some of the drivers and some of the league administrators, and surprisingly, this track is so hard to drive that it takes away from those, and you're seeing it right now with the green flag run to kick off the race at 45 plus laps and still going strong, as our leaders have lost a little bit of time in comparison to what they had on everybody else. Linkowitz, who was 1 second back and then 1 second to the good, is 1.3 off, but has, again, you mentioned Brandon Odo all over the back of him. So it was kind of funny talking to the top 3 in our last race, PD, and every single one of them, if it was, one of the drivers that is undefeated here or somebody that just said that they really like this racetrack. So it's a small track. You would expect a lot of wrecks. We've been green for the first quarter, which is, ironically enough, what the drivers told us would happen. There's a lot of drivers that love this track, yet it's one of the hardest to drive. It's a very interesting split on how this all works out. The closest battle on track still for third on back. Linkowitz working around the lap car into number 61, and Brandon Odo not giving up anything, and he's going to start to want to use that bumper to the number 24 Corvette machine.
Caution.
Now we have a caution. Caution flag will fly. Pace car going to be coming out here, and we slow them down for the first time tonight, and got a couple of people checked up in the corner. We will come down, and it was quarter distance, essentially, just about 2 laps away from that when the caution flag flies. Had one car up in the outside retaining wall, appears to be the number 4 of Joshua Cotton. It is, and that was, well, we can't say it's the first time we've seen it this season, Petey, but it looks like it may have been a steering failure or something with his sim. But the 4 car riding in position 14 was driving through the corner and then stopped on exit and put it right in the fence. May have had a monitor failure as well.
I'm here right front tire on that number 4 machine, Joshua Cotton. Looks as though that thing just went down, and he went straight up the racetrack. So Joshua Cotton, unfortunate place to blow a tire, but yeah, right into the outside retaining wall. So very, very bad break there for Josh Cotton. It isn't talked about a lot, but it is actually possible to blow a tire here on iRacing. I've seen it happen before as we watch everyone come down pit road except Brandon Odo. So this is going to be a lot of fun to watch them try to get around Odo. Such a hard track to pass. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get around Odo here, so I don't know. We're going to see who's going to be first off pit road, and it appears it is number 25. I think the 25 might have took only 2 tires, and he gets off first. Chris Cable in third.
Everybody leaving our leader, man. The 23 still down. And these aren't Gen 6 cars. It takes a long time, and AJ Bunch just lost a handful of spots because the majority of guys taking 2 tires, if not none, and he's going to be way back as opposed to where he was when he let them all down.
Yeah, watching Brandon Smizer, the 95, come off pit road. It's funny how the drivers here interact with the fans. Brandon Smizer's Instagram, he actually made a post. He wanted all his Upstate racing fans to pick out his G Fuel for tonight. G Fuel being the energy drink that he chooses to drink during these races. His Instagram name is just literally his last name, Smizer, if you want to go vote for that contest. But yeah, so apparently every week he has you vote on his G Fuel, and Green Apple won this week. So he said if he wins, he's fueled by Green Apple, and yeah. So that's just an interesting thing the drivers do here, Evan.
Well, at least it's not freezing Gatorade.
Oh, Alan Bowes, Throwback Thursday, folks. Actually, it is Thursday, so it can be a Throwback Thursday, as if any of you guys don't remember, Alan Bowes' trick to doing good in the pro races was he liked to put a Gatorade bottle in the freezer and have it ready at hand, Evan.
There's a lot of, superstitions, we'll call it, in racing, and at the end of the day, a lot of it's out of your control, but you got to do what you got to do. It's a pre-race ritual. Lights are already back on for the pace car. Let's get this one back underway. Pace car down and away. Restart now at the line. Green flag in the air. Brandon Otto gone as he takes the top spot away from TJ Graves, side by side for third on back, but now working lap 54 of 200, so past the quarter distance, and we're single file now back to the number 3 to Cody Kelly.
TJ Graves, fresh out of retirement, sitting here in second position. He's safe with the rocking chair back in the garage, and he's ready to go race here with Brandon Otto. They have no tires on the machines, and they're ready to duel it out, although they're not going to have a lot of time, because here comes Chris Cable. TJ Graves gets loose off the corner, Cable to the inside, and that's going to be a pass for second. There is no yellow line rule here. It's anything goes from Langley, as TJ Graves barely gets in line in front of Justin Fuller, who's had a rough night to this point. Fuller's going to try to get by Graves. He wants to get by Graves, because if he doesn't, Casey Kelly's right there, and we know Casey Kelly's an aggressive driver and willing to make a good move, and when Casey Kelly does an aggressive move compared to other drivers, Casey's moves are usually clean and smart. So when I talk about aggressive driving, I'm not saying he's going to dump him. I'm saying that he's probably going to make a very smart and decisive pass around the 51 as he hits him in the quarter panel.
Yeah, just as we say, that gives them a little bit of a nudge for extra insurance there. 17 cars still sit on the lead lap. The back half of this lead lap pack of cars right now, they are all over each other, bumper to bumper to bumper, bouncing off each other, getting knocked side to side and whatnot. But our top two already pulling back away as Brandon Otto, again, needs a huge night tonight after essentially one of the worst outcomes he could have possibly had 1 week ago at the Concord Speedway, dropping and finishing not even inside of the top 15 after trouble early in that race, puts him way back into 12 cars that are battling for this championship, dead last out of them all right now as he sits way back there. So you got Brandon Otto, who is 7th. He needs to make up like 25. A guy like an AJ Bunch, who's 38 back, PD. A lot of people have a lot riding on this race, and everybody's bouncing off each other. Contact the 95, nearly turning the 96. That's Brandon Smizer and Al Smith Jr. for P11.
Justin Fuller almost got the 22 there.
A little bit of contact for P3 to the bottom and through. That's not the first time that these two cars have met each other throughout the season, and Fuller going to push his way through, forces Graves to the outside. 22 tries to come back at him, gets him in the right rear, and only gets himself a little bit squirrely. So now the 50, now the 3, going to run the 22 car high, the 33 to the bottom as well. And TJ Graves, Mr. Excitement, is having an exciting time, but not on the positive end of it, because he is getting moved around. Another car on the inside gets up, puts him in the fence. We're bouncing off. That's the 22 and the 5, and now he's in the wall.
TJ Graves, oh man, this is not going to be fun. He said the reason he stopped racing was because he didn't like things like that, and I know TJ Graves is probably very fuming right now, so Graves continues to fall back, as you guys will see the replay of that event, and TJ's just trying to find a hole in the line. He might have found it there in front of Charlie Ryan.
The 16 and the 61 are slamming off each other.
Here we go, guys. Leader right now is Chris Cable. We completely missed it while that was going on. Chris Cable's pulled away by about a second. Otto still in second. And third now is Justin Fuller, although he has a lot of Casey Kelly in his mirror. And speaking of it, Evan, he actually has a lot of the Kelly twins in his mirror, so you don't just get one Kelly here, you get them both.
It's a combo TLS. That 50 and the number 3, both Casey and Cody respectively, sit 4th and 5th on the racetrack right now. And the 50's trying to push that apron to get to the inside to Fuller. Not going to be enough grip down there. Nearly took himself out of it. We got one car slow on the grass. It is a lap machine. Everybody getting around and out of the way as that machine appeared to be exiting pit lane. But yeah, Chris Cable gone by 1.3 seconds. And TJ Graves, we talked about the way the passing works. The 16 is on his inside right now. There's essentially no banking, only 6 degrees. So the guys are obviously going to slide up off the hill. And the 22 pinching as he should, and as you would expect him to do, to try to if anything, try to defend that position, and that you just can't do it if it's a net coder. If he slides up a little bit, the 22 is going to get the short end of the straw on that, and he goes all the way from P2 PD back to dead last on the lead lap in 17th by the time he's able to kind of regain the handle on it and get back in line. So that's a huge drop by the double clutch entry, who pulled that strategy call on that cycle of pit stops and moved himself up from a 21st starting position to that front row after not coming down pit road.
Oh, Casey Kelly turns Justin Fuller around here, And that's going to bring out the cautions. Justin Brooks gets in a
Brooks
four.
is in it.
Not hard damage. Brooks will be fine because this is a very short track. Shouldn't affect him at all. Brooks is just trying to get off him. Brooks is fine, and the way this track is, Justin Fuller's okay too. But man, that was rough there. Casey Kelly just got into the quarter panel of Fuller and turned him right around. As you guys see the replay, the 50 machine just misjudged it.
Code, I don't know. It looks kind of close on that prediction error. As some drivers like to claim the non-existent netcode, PD, but there was damage to the left rear of the 51. The 50 was trying to make that move a couple of times and just gets into him, sends that 51 around. You caught an eye on it the first time. Did look like there was a little bit of netcode on that. He spun. Great job on behalf of the 3 of Cody Kelly. The 33, though, with nowhere to go, going to get some front-end damage on that DuPont entry of Justin Brooks. Again, we're not at Talladega, so the only thing that would put him in risk of is increased engine temperatures, which we've seen in the past in this series, lead to a couple of drivers losing their engines. We're 1/3 of the way through. We're going to have this opportunity under the second caution flag to step away, take a real quick break. The green flag going to be coming back in not too long from now, as these cautions aren't that long, so we'll see you on the other side.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com. Simulated racing can be...
Back live with a green flag back out from the Langley Speedway and the Upstate Racing League. Lake City RC Speedway Pro Late Model Series Season 4 Chase Race 2 of 5. Back at it, just about 20 laps away from the halfway point where Chris Cable and Casey Kelly sit 1-2 on the field right now in the 05 and the 50 respectively. Note on that last incident, involved in 51 of Justin Fuller and the number 50 car. 51 of Fuller is one of our chase drivers, PD. If he is to be deemed the cause of that by an admin review after the race, he would not be out here on track in 1 week's time, and that would kill his championship hope. Something to think about as we have 3 wide back in the pack for 15th position.
Yes, and that's this is just exciting here, folks. Langley Speedway producing its usual racing side by side right now. Is that battle on the racetrack as everyone else is just trying to get single filed out here, and now that's even single filing out. So Cody Myers is going to be falling back. He's going to be beside the 116 now. It's the only battle on the racetrack is we're on lap 80, and these guys already getting turned up here as Casey Kelly now on the bumper of the 05 of Chris Cable. Something we should watch out for here in the next few laps is the 5 and 22 heard a lot of disputes on the radios over these commercial breaks, so I'm going to be watching out for that as we're about to have a battle for the lead.
Yeah, bent sheet metal, as always, leads to bent temper and bent egos, as it should when it's a night race and you're under the lights out at the short track. 18 cars are on the lead lap right now. Casey Kelly and Chris Cable still lead this race. Justin Brooks, though, with the number 33 DuPont entry, is hanging on to that spot over the 3, who's followed by the 32 of Borges. But Brooks started this race 12th, has picked up 9 to get the 3rd, and Ryan Borges, one of the drivers that has made a significant climb since where he was at the start of this race. PD, one of the drivers in the championship, enters tonight 26 back as that JD Marketing entry, started 19th up to 5th. So quite a few comers and goers early, though. Over Chris Cable was the top 3 car, and he still leads this race. All eyes, though, going to be on some of those guys that came down pit road and took more tires, 2 or 4, as opposed to people that stayed out or took fuel only. Got cycled back in our first yellow and first real full field cycle of pit stops. Brandon Otto is 7th in the leader at that point, and pole sitter, 23 of AJ Bunch, has only been able to get back to P9, so about halfway back through the field, and he's kind of stalled out there.
And with the handicap, that really helps him each and every week. We usually see him lead a lot of the early opening laps. AJ Bunch, an excellent driver, but just a novice speed he needs tonight to stay up front. But right now, we're seeing a good battle, though, about to be exposed between the 05 and the 50. If you look at them weird, it's the 50 versus the 05, but no matter what, there's 2 O's and 2 5s. We're about to see a good battle here. Here comes the number 50 of Casey Kelly, trying to take the lead away from that number 05 of Chris Cable. I mean, you got to talk about Cable. He's been a very fast guy all year long. Just hasn't quite been able to close out yet this season. We've seen him been in wrecks late in the race where he almost had it won, or racing for the win. It's just never-ending struggle of bad luck for that number 05 machine as he leads, and he's going to lead lap number 89 here. Casey Kelly, though, 2-time winner this season, looking to join his party.
There's a little bit of a bottleneck out there on the racetrack, a little bit further back, and again, lap cars are all going to be cycled in. This is 17 people sit on the lead lap right now. We will give you the full field rundown presented by Rent-A-Wreck of Plattsburgh, New York, here at the halfway point in just about 10 laps. Obviously, the scrolling ticker letting you know where everybody sits, but we'll make a comment on how everybody's nights have been so far after, again, this race quickly approaching the halfway point already. 200 laps, essentially a sprint at this racetrack, would be set to be just about an hour in length, but there's about the average distance, about 20 miles less total distance than our race 1 week ago. But this racetrack is very grueling, that constant left turn motion that we talked about earlier in this race. It looks like the 41 of Cody Parker is going to let Justin Fuller go for P8. Those 2 drivers not wanting to mix it up, and a smart move, I'd have to say, on behalf of that 41 to not test the patience of that 51 of Justin Fuller, knowing that he would like to become the 4-time and only champion if he's able to get the win in the championship standings yet again this year, as he has for all 3 seasons so far. If somebody else does beat that 51 in points, give them the championship, as well as about a $40 bounty that they put on that 51 car if anybody can take the championship status away from him, because since season 1 and all the way through to now, still nobody else has won this series championship but Justin Fuller.
Yeah, Justin Fuller is I mean, clearly no one else ever won. Number 37, Tim Bill, sliding up the racetrack, and he is going to get passed now by the 49 of Jeff Rivard. He's going to get into Jeff Rivard. He's going to save it. He's going to go back into Rivard. They're up the track. Oh, they're up the track. Everyone saves it. 3 wide now in the 16. Charlie Ryan's going to get him, and he's still contact, and almost more contact to the 37. Just wants to get in line here. The number 37 of Tim Bills just went for a wild ride that he did not want to be involved with, and now he's behind Jeff Rivard like he originally was.
I think he hit about every single card that was in that pack, nearly took out Jeff Rivard, put the 49 nearly into the outside wall, nearly put him into the inside wall. He was able to hang on to it, though, and kind of fight through that, as everybody was able to get it sorted out for the most part without the caution flag needed in that. And hearing trouble for the number 25 car over the radio, trying to get an ID on that. That's the Zachary Mason Dollar General Toyota Camry entry. He was sitting 4 laps down already, and got dumped by the number 12 car, who sat 12 laps down. Interesting.
So he's had a reset, and that's going to probably make his night a lot worse than it was. So he's sitting in victory lane, but don't let it fool you. It's not because he's a winner, as we see Jason McLatchy also come down pit road. And still out front, Chris Cable over Casey Kelly. Kelly is just sitting there and waiting, thinking, what do I want to do here with Chris Cable? Or will I be able to do anything with Chris Cable? Cable has a very fast car right now. Don't doubt that number 05 machine versus Kelly here. As in third still is Brooks. Not a lot of changing going on up here. Like we said, very single file, very not exciting. Well, I shouldn't say not exciting, Evan. I should say not interesting racing when it gets to the middle of the race here at Langley, because whenever it comes down late in the race, you're going to see bumpers used, you're going to see tempers flare, and most importantly, you're going to see championship points decided here in the closing laps. And right now, with Brooks being running as well as he is, this is not what everyone else needs to see. They need to see Justin Brooks wrecked right now. As much as they probably hate to see their good friend Justin Brooks wreck here, I mean, it's what they really need.
Yeah, Brooks running so strong right now, 1 second off of the top 2 spots. We are halfway in this evening's Rent-A-Wreck of Plattsburgh, New York 200 Chase Race 2 of 5 with the Lake City RC Speedway Pro Late Model Series on Season 4 of Upstate Racing. And we'll give you the full field rundown now as we work lap 104 of 200. We've talked about him since this last restart, only 2 yellows so far. Chris Cable leads this race to Craftsman Chevrolet, and I mean barely, over in front of that 50 Casey Kelly, who has been all over him in the Tobaccoville USA Elliott Realty.com Chevy SS at Speed 2. Justin Brooks, just mentioned him. The DuPont entry is third right behind him. You got Cody Kelly, followed by Ryan Borgers, rounding out the top 5 right now. Brandon Otto starting to get back up to the field. He's 6th, 7th. Justin Fuller. You got Cody Parker back at a 41 car in 8th position, starting to really slide off of the leader's pace. 9th is AJ Bunch at Al Smith Jr. up to a top 10 spot. Petey, he'll round out the top 10.
Yeah, and as we see James Linkowitz leave, I guess we never got to see the excitement. I'm sorry, I was just updating you guys on another car leaving. In 11th right now is that TJ Graves entry, 12th to Brandon Smizer, 13th to Dale O'Neill, 14th to Tim Bills, the car that we saw slide, and 15th Charlie Ryan, 16th Jeff Rivard, 17th to Nicholas Rasmussen, 18th to Dan Dubuque, and that's about everyone that's left running, Evan. To round out those, the top 20 would be James Linkowitz and Jason McLatchy, but none of these guys are running from this point on.
And McClatchy behind the wall, Brian Rogers Jr., Cody Myers, Zachary Mason, Joshua Cotton, and Kevin Baker. Everybody from there on out in this 25-car field are behind the wall and out of it. And what it was really, again, only 2 cautions in the first 110 laps now of this race after about a 50-lap opening stint at the Langley Speedway. And again, the track is just so hard to drive on its own that it could be what is leading to the lack of yellows, or rather the acceptable or really good level of yellows is the fact that you're battling the racetrack so much that you almost just have to kind of ride around, see what you can do with your own car, as opposed to, I'm just going to move this guy out of the way and try to be equal speed as him, because we've seen quite a few guys, although they put up fights for it, an equal amount of people, PD, have just kind of been very generous, which is not really a word that you typically say on a short track Thursday night under the lights, especially with the gang that these guys have, because they're known to get quite feisty with each other in some of the rivalries that we've seen brew over the season. But a lot of them have shown quite a good amount of patience, letting people go, just letting this race ride out. And because of that, now only 35 minutes since the green flag dropped, already into the second half of this race, closing in on the 3/4 distance or the 3/5 distance later on in this event here. And with knocking off about 4 laps every minute, it is quite a fast race, but again, still very tiring, which is something that I'm very interested in the middle portion, because you said the race isn't boring, but it's not as exciting right now. These are the points in the race where you can make or break it, and you might not really talk about it because it's not the exciting parts, but this is very easy if you're a guy and you're kind of out there by yourself to just kind of lose focus and lose a purpose. If you're a Justin Fuller, there's nobody for 2 seconds in front of you, there's nobody for 1.5 seconds behind you. It's very easy, the way you got to drive this racetrack, PD, to just make one mistake and cost yourself a lot of time, get some damage on it. So although it's not the most exciting, and just saying that the way history has it, we'll get a late race yellow the way it typically goes, but it's these middle portions of the race that are arguably equally as important.
And that is, and if you're someone that's extremely out of shape, as basically I am, I would be tired of this way. I don't know how these guys do it. This is incredible to watch these guys go out there and battle every lap. And this is just incredible racing that they're keeping these cars facing forward. This is very exciting. So, Evan, as we still watch these guys battle it out here, the 05 of Chris Cable trying to keep his machine here in the lead over Casey Kelly. A lot of excitement going on throughout the racetrack. Not a lot of passing as typical here at the Speedway we know as Langley. Just want to say hello to all the fans. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Evan, you take it away.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, as always, the regular faces that we're happy to see week in and week out, night in and night out for that matter, on LSRTV, as well as a couple of new faces down in the comments. We do monitor those. We try to interact with everybody. If you got questions, let us know. And so we're working through what really has been a great race so far at the Langley Speedway. Again, this racetrack was opened back in 1950. Was originally known as Dude Ranch Speedway, PD. I think they should go back to that one. It does play host to the K&N Pro Series East as well as the NASCAR Welland Southern Modified Tour. But again, at 6 degrees of banking, essentially nothing when you're out there in these cars. They're sliding around. It's a flat track. You're under the lights. There's not much more that you could ask for. And it's a chase race, which has kind of been a lot calmer than when we could go. I don't think we may ever see a race as wicked as that one until we get to the season finale race, possibly at Bristol. But other than that, a lot of the chase drivers are having a calm night, which, you know, it's a gift and a curse at the same time, Petey, because you don't want to wreck out again. But if nobody really has trouble, you're not going to make up that ground that you lost. So a lot of people, their fate for these next 3 races added tonight and their fate for the championship are in the hands of the drivers that are in front of them. And you talked about it before when you were talking about Justin Brooks. As much as you don't want to say you want your buddy to wreck, it's really some of these guys is, you know, their last chance here if they want to be able to be up there and be a serious contender into the final 3 races.
Yeah, so that's going to be something to watch out for here. These guys trying to keep their noses facing forward. This is going to get exciting late in the stages. Don't let this fool you. This race will see the typical fun, if you want to call it that, at the end of these races. And right now, Chris Cable leads this thing. We're actually about to get past 125 laps into this race. And with Chris Cable leading 5/8 of the way through this thing, we're only 40 minutes into this thing, Evan. We have not spent a lot of time on this track at all. This thing could be done in an hour's time at the rate they're going, and that's just incredible to do 200 laps in 1 hour at a little racetrack like this. I mean, I know it's fun for us to sit here and talk about the way of the race and everything, but you got to think about a driver, man. You're sitting in there. These late models get hot, man. It's really hot inside the cockpit of these machines. You get really tired, and it just has to be very stressful trying to put these cars a lap down like Chris Cable is right now, and having Casey Kelly, Justin Brooks, and Cody Kelly looking you right down the eye if you mess up. So right now, Chris Cable has all the pressure of the world on him right now, but he's doing a fine job.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to the guys that are off of the lead lap but still running. So Nicholas Rasmussen, Dan DeBoot, as well as Brian Rogers Jr., PD. It is not easy with the amount of focus that it takes to run this racetrack, and again, they obviously have damage. They're off the lead lap, so they're not at lap times equal to that of our leaders, but it is hard to stay out there laps down, not gaining any positions, and not just want to park it on the trailer and leave tonight. They're fighting through it, hoping that if somebody has trouble, they're able to get those points, and that's what you have to do to have a championship mentality. So great to see those guys who are, 1 or 2 laps down, sticking it on the racetrack, because it's a painfully excruciating thing to do if your car's off pace and you're only losing time and you're losing spots for them to stay out there. Now we're hearing some pit stop talk. The 51 of Justin Fuller may have just told everybody over the radio that he is planning on coming down for service. Coming out of 4, he'll stay on track, so not this time, but believe we heard a transmission over the radio on behalf of the 51. We'll keep an eye on him if anything comes from that, but lap 70 to go that time as race leader Chris Cable takes lap 132, so now 69 laps to go in this event. Really getting down to these final portions.
So that's exciting. Here's Chris Cable, still leads this thing, catching Jeff Rivard. Now it's an Arkoff, put a lap down. Just lapped Brandon Smizer in that 90. Caution is out on the speedway, and that changes everything. That's the 96 league owner, Al Smith. He's going to go lap down through this whole exchange. He was spun off of turn number 4. We're going to see what happened there. It looks as though the 96 just got in the corner, and he just went up the track a little bit. As you guys see the replay, and he's completely lost it off of 4, tried to save it, and then bam, went around a very slow motion spin, to see the least, as Al Smith loses his car off of 4.
It was something that he was actually talking about, that he was expecting a couple of self-spins maybe in the B-main because of the way that corner exit is here. You got to time it so right that if you maybe misjudge it, you give it a little bit more wheel very easily, that machine can go around and obviously lead to that. A couple of cars coming down pit road. We have contact on pit road between A.J. Bunch, the 41 car, looks like the 37 also. But all of these guys down pit road, we're going to try to take this opportunity real quick, throw it to commercial break. A lot more action in the race of the checkered flag coming up from Langley. Stay tuned. You're watching LSR.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Back live at the Langley Speedway in Hampton, Virginia for round 2 of 5 in the chase for season 4 of the Upstate Racing League Lake City RC Speedway Pro Late Model Series, round 12 of 15 total. Caution back out. You saw it on the side-by-side. Tim Bills got sent around, and he was in the middle of the track. The 33 got into him. A rather good job by Borges in the 16 of trying to be able to get around him. But other than that, pretty much limited to a one-car incident. And we returned back to the caution flag period. A lot of drivers trying to get things sorted out with the admins in the series booty, taking evasive action down pit road, having to get black flags cleared and all that good stuff. But we did say we are going to see these yellows return once again in the second half of the race, especially coming down to the end. And now within 60 laps to go, here they are.
So this has been interesting. We saw Casey Kelly pull off, partially due to the wreck, partially due to he's going around the race for another league at the moment. I was told before the race by an anonymous source that if we saw one of the machines pull off, expect to see the 37 and the 3 also leave the racetrack, and the 5, but the 5 has already left the racetrack. So I'm expecting to see quite a few of those cars pull off now, Evan, now that it's apparently their time for the other league.
A couple of drivers have to hit the garage area. All of them are still in the session at the moment, to note, but they have lost significant times, and I've obviously fallen off at a lead lap at the moment, which right now sits us with 15 cars on the lead lap. Borges, the last out of those. Borges, one of the chase guys who made a lot of noise in the ending half of the regular season, PD, but has kind of been quiet last week and as well as tonight. The restart going to be delayed as everybody needs to get caught up at the back of the pack, but we're seeing a lot of guys that, again, were very successful. Even a guy like a Brandon Odo, who sits second right now, but he's so far behind from trouble 1 week ago. He's really got to lay it to these guys if he wants a shot at it. We're going to have to see how they're able to take this, as well as the final 3 after tonight in this championship hunt, to see if they're able to improve on it and maybe get back to the things that they were doing. Because one thing we asked them going into this is, let's go on for the pace car, is are you going to drive any differently knowing the championship is on the line? For the majority of the part, the driver said no, it's business as usual. Just it's a 5-race season, and instead of trying to make, top 12 and 10, you got to win it. in 5 versus those 12 drivers. So a lot of them said business as usual, but a little bit of varying strategies that I'd say at least that we've seen from a couple of these guys. Lights back off at a pace car restart coming up at lap 145 and 56 laps to go. Chris Cable, control car, green flag back out.
Green flag in the air as they take off. That was an interesting restart, to say the least, as Chris Cable's going to be in the lead. Brandon Odo's going to be there right underneath him. Cody Kelly's officially left too, so all them guys going to race the other league, as Chris Cable is now having a lot of issues now with Brandon Odo. Odo's never lost a race here from the Langley Speedway, and 2 of his biggest competitors just left the server. So here we come, as right now the 24 machine is giving the 05 all he's worth. The 51 of Justin Fuller is going underneath TJ Graves. TJ Graves is mad, he just doesn't know who right now, and he gives the 51 the bumper, trying to cut Brooks off. And right now TJ Graves is just doing some really aggressive driving. He's going to pull in the line in front of the 41. TJ Graves, fresh out of retirement in a battered race car, giving it all he has right now, Evan.
And it was the 51 who, by the way, made contact with him earlier in the race. I told you it wouldn't be the only time that we'd see them side by side or fight. Meanwhile, though, the top 2, they are gone. The 05 Craftsman Chevrolet leads of Chris Cable, but Brandon Odo had a little bit of a different design this week. The Rockstar Recovery iRacing means Chevrolet Corvette in P2. Right behind him, about 0.2 of a second off. Then they're nearly 2 whole seconds to the good over Justin Fuller, who sits third, who has Justin Brooks right behind him. The 51 and the 33 have had a couple of run-ins that have been very competitive with each other, we'll say, throughout this season. They sit third and fourth, but again, they're going to need a yellow if they want to be able to get back to Chris Cable and Brandon Odo, which is very possible, because this time by, we're going to get 50 laps to go, and it is going to be the 3/4 distance. So still an entire fourth that this race still needs to be ran, but definitely Cable and Odo, at the moment at least, have got everybody else's number, and now we're starting to bump. They're starting to bump a little bit. The 24 of Odo.
Caution
He's in the
out.
Cable on caution. We got trouble.
Tim Bills. Tim Bills is around on the back stretch here. That's number 37 entry. He stopped there. He can't really get going.
He just got spun on the last yellow.
What happened, his issue was he just lost it all on his own coming out of turn number 2. Loose. Another very slow spin that brought him to a stop there in the grass. He actually didn't bring out the caution, but his issue was he tried rejoining the racing surface, and they had to stop for traffic, and that's what brought out the caution. As you guys get to see the replay here, number 37 entry, that is, as caution's out once again here from Langley, and they said it, late stages in the race, going to be a lot more action.
Yeah, the 37, I'm pretty sure, just got dumped on the yellow before this while we were on the side-by-side. If it wasn't that, it was about a yellow before. So he now finds himself 15th position, 1 lap down. Could imagine that maybe he spun because of a little bit of damage that he got previously, PD. But again, that's the second time tonight, at least, that has triggered a yellow. Leading from that we have seen a single car spin, once out of 4, once out of 2 now. So it's kind of ironic that it's so tight that it gets loose. Again, we talked about how you got to drive this racetrack. You got to line it up with the wall. You may have to overcorrect just a little bit. You can't give it any more wheel. I mean, you're so on the ragged edge in these cars. And, you know, somebody might say they're not going that fast, but you're wheeling these things that you try to give it a little bit more wheel, you jerk it a little bit harder, and it's just not going to work. And that's what we've seen. 2 cars have trouble tonight so far going around from that. Now, 14 of them have survived. Nicholas Rasmussen back to the lead lap. The number 71 711 car is 14th, PD. But we have seen our fair amount of drivers with trouble tonight, but by no means in the fashion, we'll call it, that they did 1 week ago at Concord.
Yeah, so this has been an excellent race up to this point. Been one of our short track races I've seen in quite a little bit of time. And Justin Brooks complaining he still has 35 seconds left of optional repair. He's not too terribly concerned about it, obviously, or else he wouldn't be joking about it. He's sitting there in the 4th position, doing exactly what he needs to do. Even if Odo and Fuller go on to win this race, they still have a substantial amount of points to make up on that number 33 entry of Brooks here. And they need Brooks to have problems right now. They need to see maybe TJ Graves finally shows anger towards someone here.
He's kind of been in a pinball situation, we'll call it, throughout the night. And again, being forced to the outside, and frustrating, obviously, because you know once you go to the high side, you're going to be going backwards. So you try to pinch down a little bit more, maybe force somebody a little bit to the apron, get them loose, get back in line, and all that happens is they slide up and, well, they get back into you. So could we see that again? Yes, because the inside is so important. This restart going to be very important as well, as we go through quarters number 2. Going to go down the back straightaway, and then we get set for a restart at lap 157 of 244 laps to go now. on this one. Could this be the final restart? Do we see more yellows? And can Chris Cable get another great restart like he did in the last one? Let's see. Pace car gets set to duck down and away and is now on pit lane in that safety area. Chris Cable gone as the green flag flies back underway. We go. Top 2 single file out. Brooks on the outside lane. Contact. It's TJ Graves bouncing off each other. He gets a shot for the 41. Now trouble back in the pack. Caution is flying and everybody scatters around. We're back under yellow.
So yeah, another caution here, Evan. And when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, we said, and it looks like the 49 of Jeff Rivard, not the first time that he has either been around or has been assisted around in the Monster Energy machine. He got hit from behind on behalf of the Jack Daniels car, the 16 who went up just a little bit high on entry. They did essentially hang on to it, PD, but it did trigger the caution in the sim, and that's why we're going to slow them back down. The replay going to be going up now. You'll be able to take a look at that as that contact coming in corners number 1 and 2. Just about 1 or 2 laps off of that last restart. So, well, we have this opportunity under yellow. Let's let you know where everybody finished 1 week ago if you weren't with us for round 11 and chase race 1 of 5. The NHR Racing 200 from the Concord Speedway. The race winner was Justin Brooks. Cody Kelly would come home second to Tim Bills in third. Chalmers Parker a 4th place. And Joshua Cotton rounding out the top 5 in a race. Peter, we're on to the top 9 and we're able to stay on to the lead lap.
Yeah, that was just a rough race for everyone moving forward, and man, we've seen a lot of races like that this season, Evan, where it's come down to the tough grind at the end, and there have been many wrecks. And actually, I think that's a big thing that's kept Justin Fore out of victory lane. One race I want to look back to is the Iowa race that we saw end the regular season. Justin Fuller seemed to have that race won. He made a daring move and was going to take the lead in that race, but Cody Parker made an even more daring move and ended up winning that race. So Justin Fuller, he only has 1 win this season, but don't forget, he still has the speed. He has not lost anything since his championship seasons, and I honestly think the competition is just getting more stout, and he's just been a lot more unlucky this year.
Your luck has a lot to play with it. The furthest you can get from a super speedway, in theory, is a short track, but they do have a lot of the similar principles. The fact that there's not a lot of room, the speeds obviously are quite different, but it's a lot about luck, and you can, position yourself at a spot to be running well in the race and being able to be up in front and, in front of anything that may happen mid-pack on back. But there's a lot of it just being in the right place at the right time, or equally as so in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's why these guys can't give up, PD, though there are some significant points intervals. So let's talk about the championship. The top 12 of the chase drivers. Brooks leads by 9 over Chalmers Parker. 16 points back to Nicholas Rasmussen. Justin Fuller in 4th. 18 back and 19 back Joshua Cotton. But you got guys in the 20s and the 30s. Because of the exact same way that they wrecked out of the first chase race is the reason they can't give up. Because a lot can still happen into these next 3 races at Stafford, Lucas Oil, and then Bristol. Another restart coming up. Is this one going to be the last one? Now inside of 40 laps to go, PD, in the same front row with Chris Cable and Brandon Odo.
Odo is going to be trying to look for keep his undefeated streak alive here. Here we go. Pace cars off. Cable off. So in a way, he's going to get clear of Odo. Odo through to 2nd. Battle for 3rd right now is Odo. He's going to give Cable the bumper.
Oh, Patrol's behind him.
Oh, they're wrecking almost for the lead, and that was going to get really exciting if that caution did not come out, because they were side by side for the lead, and you saw what happened, Evan.
Yeah, Jeff Rivard, who just wrecked moments ago, caught up in an incident where he comes down on the 95 off the corner. Brandon Smizer in the 49 making contact, heavy damage on the Jeff Rivard entry. You'll see the replay going up now, and that's going to put them both back down to pit road. But PD, we were both kind of keeping an eye on that battle for the lead. I saw the incident, but I mean, they were nearly wrecking each other for the top spot. Brady Odo's not going to be waiting around for much longer. You saw it there, and it would have been really fun if he tried to keep it on the apron for that whole set through 1 and 2.
Yeah, so that's been very exciting here, and it's just been a lot of fun, folks, but these cautions here have been hampering the event. Hopefully these guys get together here soon, Evan, or else we could see this race come down to just who doesn't wreck again.
Yeah, the opening portions, again, a lot of green flag racing. But again, when we were in the middle of the green flag run, I said that you're going to see the final quarter of the race have a bunch of yellows. It's the way it has always been. It's the way it's been all year, and it's the way that it has become to tonight. And almost like a basketball game or something where the final 20 seconds of the game take longer than the first half is because of all the timeouts and stuff. Well, we're getting slowed down here because of all the yellows, because everybody knows that they're running out of time. It's kind of ironic, PD. that the cautions are taking away laps that they need to make passes. So they drive harder, it leads to yellows. It's kind of an ironic system that works here late in the race. But you saw it there that Brandon Otto, he might just quit waiting around because he was all over that left rear, which is a tricky spot on that 05 of Chris Cable. And I look forward to these restarts. Justin Fuller or Justin Brooks could be set to capitalize if this 24 and the 05 get tangled up.
It could get really interesting, Evan, and who knows? This can be interesting, though. Points racing, Justin Brooks has to keep his car intact here, Evan, and we like to make our picks usually around now. I'll make mine right now. I say Brandon Otto stays undefeated.
I'm going to have to say that I want to say Chris Cable holds him off, but I feel like if the 05 stays in front of him, Otto's fast enough to the point where he'll just move him out of the way. It's hard to go against the 24, but since you did, I'll say that Chris Cable's able to ride a couple more yellows here if he's able to get a few good restarts here, and the Craftsman Chevrolet will be in victory lane, which would be huge because, again, he needs whatever he can get entering tonight. 31 points out of the top spot, 31 back, and 11th overall out of the 12 chase drivers. So lights back off at a pace car. This restart looks like it's going to be at 33 laps to go. I do want to say Chris Cable on the inside lane, which has been the preferred spot all race long. That's where he'll restart. The key is for Brandon Otto, he needs to be able to get either behind that 05 or stay next to him before the 51 of Justin Fuller fills that second spot in line. Down on the bottom lane, pace car down and gone. Adios. Chris Cable is like a rocket right out of the gate, and he's single filed into the quarter, slided up for third. Fuller in the hill, and he gets into the 33 of Brooks. That checks the 33 up. TJ Graves looks to the bottom. Not going to happen anything there. Top 5 single file, but that was a close call for P3.
Very close call for P3, and this has been just a race of cleanliness, and now it's a race of attrition here as Brandon Otto sits in the second position right behind Chris Cable. Caution once again on the speedway, Evan. This time I see a couple guys, and that's Tim Bills again.
When it rains, it pours. You said it for the yellows and for Tim Bills, and it was a Jeff Rivarda. Things are not looking good as the 16 of Charlie Ryan went to the apron and just absolutely took him out at the left rear. Everybody got checked up, 2 or so cars at least involved in that one. And now that we close it on 30 laps to go, and the fact that we are riding a couple of yellow flags, it's yellow fever late at the Langley Speedway, so we'll take this opportunity as a little bit of fake it out for pit road. Actually, we'll step away for the final time during racing conditions, go side by side so you can keep up to date on everything that's going on under the caution. We'll be back for the restart and the race to the checkered flag. You're watching Chase Race number 2 and the rent-to-wreck of Plattsburgh, New York, 200 from Langley.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com. Simulated racing can be awesome.
Back live from Hampton, Virginia, and I still want to call it Dude Ranch Speedway, Petey, but it is Langley Speedway playing host to race 2 of 5 in the Lake City RC Speedway Pro Late Model Series Chase for Season 4 of the Upstate Racing League and race 12 of 15 overall. We're under yellow fever, and it is the yellow number 24 of Brandon Otto, who has been trying to get around Chris Cable. He'll get another shot at him. This time looks like it'll be at about 24 laps to go in this one, as the lights on a pace car have just now gone off.
So that'll mean 1 to green here, folks, and what has been a race of attrition here late in the stages. We're about to see a lot of action. Here we go. Pace car is going to lead him down. Al Smith and Ryan Borges both falling out the server. I guess it's still pouring here, Evan, in all different ways. Pace car getting ready to pull off. Just going to be 25 laps to go. The 05 is going to lead him down. And green flag in the air. And Odo didn't go that time, but he still can get through to second.
51 of Fuller's able to fight through. He'll get third. The 33 of Brooks way up the hill. And it looks like TJ Graves to the bottom. He wants P4. Can't get it done. We'll be side by side for 5th on back. But don't look away from that 24 of Brandon Odo. Slides back to 1.5 car lengths. But he is driving that Rockstar Recovery iRacing Meme Chevy Corvette into the quarter harder than we've seen him do it all night. And now he's to the back bumper. There's a shot. He moves him. The bump and running for the top spot and give the race lead to Brandon Odo.
Brandon Odo wants to stay undefeated at the Speedway, and he moved Chris Cable right out of the way and give the lead to Odo. 3-man battle out there up front, 24-05-51. The 24 of Odo certainly wants to hang in there in front of Chris Cable, and Odo still leading this event. He's getting closer and closer. 20 laps to go, Evan. I doubted him a lot tonight, and a caution down the Speedway, and we're going to see where that is. Oh, 2 cars around. That's Tim Bills again. It's Tim Bills.
37 of Tim Bills. Oh, man, God bless that man. The number 37 machine is involved in yet again another incident. He was fighting, as the replay goes up now, with the 95 car, who appears to have checked up off the corner, Brandon Smizer. The 95 was just in an incident too, PD. It's the same 4 cars. They wrecked, both got back on the gas, and then hit each other again in the front. And when it rains, it does pour. It is a torrential downpour at the Langley Speedway for about 4 cars that have single-handedly brought out all of these L's. Here, take a look at the race stats. 9 cautions so far. Probably 7 of those 9 have come in this last about 40-lap stint of the race, Speedy, because the first 3 quarters, only 2 yellows and green flag runs at upwards of 50 laps. It was spectacular.
It was spectacular, and we saw the 95 completely murder the 37 there under caution, and that 37 car is dead. I mean, the 95 just came up and hit him once, hit him twice, put him straight in the wall, and I think Smizer did him a favor. I think he put Tim Bills out of his misery here, Evan.
It has been a rough race, and one that I said it has had the same level of attrition as one we could go at Concord, but maybe not on the same scale. For these 4 drivers that have made up these last few yellows, you can throw that opinion out the window because they have just had a rough go at it late in the race. However, although the pace laps do feel like they go by very quick, PD, they do knock off a fair amount of laps. So we do have to talk about it, as always. No green-white checkers in the iRacing server, the system, whatever you want to call it. So because of that, this race is going to end at the scheduled distance of 200 laps and 80 miles. No more, no less. So if a caution flies lap 196 on, this race would end under yellow flag conditions. Something to keep an eye on, as we're only seeing about 1-2 lap stints, and this restart rate going to be around 15 to go, and caution's taking about 5 laps up. This thing, although, again, they're feeling like they are going by fast, but because the track's so small, PD, these guys are losing a lot of time. Brandon Odo did not try, by the way, to hide he was going to move the 05. He didn't, just play nice and then move him once. He got him a couple times and then just moved the Craftsman machine out of the way. Do we see Chris Cable go back out of it a little aggressive here and try to return the favor?
That's if he can get in front of the number 51 of Justin Fuller. That should be an extremely hard task in its own. Fuller's been letting his good friend Odo get down the line, I believe, here after that last restart. Kind of checked up, made sure Odo had a hole, but I think it's going to be tough to beat the man who's never lost here. I'm really liking that pick right now of Brandon Odo. He's going to be leading him down behind the pace car here, Evan, as they have 1 degree. It's going to be about a 16 lap shootout.
Let's see how this one all shakes out. Brandon Odo, who has had to fight from the outside these last about 6-7 of them. He will now be the control car. Chris Cable, the challenger in the Craftsman entry, and Justin Fuller and Justin Brooks still sit in the wings in 3rd and 4th. Pace car down the way. Contact between the top 2, and on the accelerator, more contact. Chris Cable takes a shot at the right rear of the 24 car. Can't get back in line, though, PD. That's one thing you mentioned, is that he would have needed to get in front of Fuller. Can't do it. The 51 car through to 2nd.
Justin Brooks looking through. He's going to try to get through to the 3rd position, and that 05, things are not going good for him right now. Here comes Justin Brooks to the inside. He's going to pass him. The 05 is going to try to take the hole. He'll have an easy hole to go in. TJ Graves far back there will not be able to take the hole. And so 05 easily into the 3rd position now. Actually, that's going to be the 4th position when all cycles through. So right now, Brandon Odo is going to be leading this event. Evan, can he stay undefeated at the Langley Motor Speedway?
I don't think that Fuller's got enough for him unless we get another yellow and he moves him, because the 51 is torn to bits. Again, Brooks was also able to get around Chris Cable, so that 05 car now sits back in P4. He wants to be able to come back out. There's the yellow, caution, trouble, and one car up and over, Cody Parker. The number 41 car is upside down on fire and in the catch fence after huge trouble from a top 10 running position. It started with TJ Graves in the number 22 car. TJ Graves down in the grass down there. Looks like it's in corners 3 and 4. Just got the tires down and may have had a little bit of help on behalf of the 41 car. Gets him turned sideways out in the grass, comes back up, and either he overcorrected it, PD, or he did not like the shot from the 41 and made sure that if he was going down, he was taking him out with him. Huge contact sending the 41 up and over. The 16 car involved in this as well. Charlie Ryan is one of those 4 guys that has been involved in all of these second half of the race yellows, and we return to yellow, which is not what Brandon Otto wanted to see, and now we will be within 10 laps to go, and are not done yet.
So Cody Parker there, that was the other championship contender besides Brooks, and with Brooks running as good as he is, the way tonight's going, Brooks might just be able to waltz through these last 3 races if he doesn't have any issues. So Justin Brooks sitting 3rd right now. He's going to try to get by Fuller here. I don't think he's going to be as friendly with Fuller as Odo and Fuller were. So who knows, maybe Brooks could shake things up here. I don't think Brooks is yet done. So we are ready to go through here, and they actually disqualified TJ Graves. They claimed it was an intentional wreck that TJ did that. They don't see that being an accident by no means here, Evan.
Yeah, and again, he got help down there, and the natural reaction would be to turn the car to the right to save it. But again, could have been a decision where he figured he was spinning it out. Might as well just make sure that he's not the only one that goes down with it. Haven't had the opportunity to see his exact onboard on that. I'm taking a look at it, and it did look just kind of like a natural reaction. But again, the 22 has been kind of pushed around all race long. You would be able to imagine the frustration in that one. So he was disqualified from the race. Does not help the 41 at all, because he ended up on his lid, and we look forward to what could be the final or second to last restart of this race, depending on how many laps green they go if we were to see another yellow.
Yeah, man, it's getting really interesting here. I think this is Brandon Oto's race to lose at this point in time with the way the cautions have flown. I think they're going to see another one before it's all said and done, and I think this is going to be one that ends under caution here.
We're going to have to certainly see the number 24 car is going to have the benefit of having the preferred spotter. Is he electing to take the top lane, it looks like?
Very interesting call there.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I figured this one out. I think he is what he's going to do is him and Fuller talking to each other. So what they're going to do is Fuller's going to let him pull down on the restart. So therefore, Brooks cannot pass either of them. They have an agreement here, Evan. I guarantee that's what's going to happen.
So we'll see it. 51 on the bottom, 24 up high. This move would benefit the 51. Green flag back at there. You see the hesitation on behalf of Justin Fuller. Brandon Otto quickly back to the top spot, and Fuller able to hang on to second. So that one working perfectly for those two drivers. The 33 of Brooks slides into third. He takes that spot away from Chris Cable as the Craftsman machine drops back to fourth position. Single file there on through the 8 cars now that sit on the lead lap, and the challenge for the top spot at 1.5 car lengths. Maybe too little, too late. Don't give up on a podium, though. That 05 of Chris Cable not going too far off of the back of the DuPont 33 of Brooks.
Yeah, and the 33 of Brooks is getting
oh,
he
turned him!
He turned him! Oh, the 51's going to go back around!
Oh!
And, I think that's the race there, folks, but Justin Fuller writing GG in the chat. He is not happy at all.
The 51 of Justin Fuller, not the first time, PD. We have seen this happen for a top spot, and the 33 is claiming there was a connection an issue. The 116 is saying that they saw a connection issue on Justin Fuller's end of things, PD. Not sure if it's on you as well. And again, we are in the session as a spectator as opposed to a driver, but all of these other guys are seeing the 51 blink. I didn't see a blink on my end, but again, that can vary per connection, and if he did, that would have explained it, because the 33 car went to the inside, and he only gets the 4X contact instead of a 0X, which would be a minor car contact, so could be very truthful to that. It does send the 51 around, and that is bad news for Justin Fuller, who cannot afford an error like that in the championship.
Yeah, as we're coming around, I think this is the race. I'm not 100% sure. See what the pace car does. The lights do stay on. Yeah, the lights are still on the pace car, so they're going to be paced around this time by. We'll see if Odo's going to stay undefeated or if he's going to have to fend off Justin Brooks for one full lap. And actually, no, that's the race. The drivers didn't get 2 to green that time by. So Brandon Odo still undefeated at Langley.
This one does appear that it is going to come to a close under caution flag conditions. The lights would need to go off this time around when we take lap number 199, and even at that point it would only be a one-lap shootout. But the other drivers congratulating Brandon Odo. We talked about it entering this race. Lost 6 spots after a rough week at Concord 1 week ago. In the first race of the chase, entered tonight 7th, 25 points back. And Justin Brooks, who leads the points into tonight, is able to walk away with a second. So the 24 making up ground on everybody around him and a little bit of ground on that number 33. But if Brooks can't win the race, the best way to defend that top spot in points is to walk away as close to the top as possible. He sits second right now and doing exactly that in that DuPont ElliottRealty.com Chevrolet, the little bit of a throwback Rainbow Warrior design on the Brooks entry, a little bit of a different car than we typically see out on track. But this one is going to shake out officially as the lights still on the pace car and white flag going to be in the air this time. And 9 cars will remain on the lead lap when it is all said and done. And it's Odo who started at 9th position, Pete. We talked about how he needs to get everything he can out of these next 4 races. And even in that, he needs to rely on mistakes by others. Brooks has a solid run. He's going to be able to get a P2 when it is all said and done. But your winner for round 2 of 5 in the chase for the championship and the 12th trophy overall, the Rent-A-Wreck of Plattsburgh, New York, 200 at a quarter number 4 checkered flag in the air, and give it to the Rockstar iRacing means Chevrolet Corvette. Brandon Odo wins it tonight.
Brandon Odo is going to take it home in victory lane tonight, folks. And, yeah, he's still undefeated at Langley, so that's going to shake up the points, get Odo back maybe a little bit closer to Brooks as he's going to do his signature drifts around the racetrack. And, Evan, we're getting closer to being able to talk to the top 3, maybe not Brooks, but everyone else and more.
He does his signature burnouts around the racetrack and remains undefeated at the Langley Speedway. The post-race show is still to come on LSRTV. We'll talk to the top 3 and send you off. We'll be halfway through this championship in 1 week's time, but hoping to talk to Odo, Brooks, Cable, and even more. Stay tuned. A lot more to come from Langley. You're watching LSRTV. Back live at the Langley Speedway post-race show on LSRTV getting kicked off. We're caught up very quickly down on pit road with the driver of the number 33 car. Justin, I know you got to get going. You got another race tonight, but it's a P2. You entered leading the championship, so only thing better would have been able to get a victory, but you're still going to walk away with a pretty good lead with 3 races to go. Walk us through the evening real quick.
Yeah, it was a heck of an evening, I'll say. I mean, I was just trying to ride at the beginning and got caught up on a few wrecks, nothing on my making, and got a lot of damage. The car was fast before that, but once I got the damage, the car was pushing like a dump truck in the center and loose as hell off. And I mean, from there, it's just trying to survive. So second place is like a win to me tonight. I thought I had the car to beat. I mean, if I didn't have that damage, I think I would have won that race. But, you know, that's just how racing goes.
You started 12th, you get a second, and now again with only 3 races left, we look forward in 1 week's time, going to be back at Stafford. How confident are you rolling into round 3 of 5 in this championship hunt?
Yeah, we're gonna come out strong there. I mean, that's one of my best tracks, like Concord was, and you saw how I did at Concord. So I'm not gonna say I'm a win or anything, but I mean, I'm gonna be pretty strong there. So hopefully we can get the job done there.
We look forward to that effort, and it was a hell of a one tonight. You come home P2 when it's all said and done, Justin. Before we let you go, I know you got to get back out on track. Your sponsors and shout-outs, all that good stuff. Who makes this run possible tonight, and who's making this championship run possible?
Short Track Racing Network, Elliott Realty. I had DuPont on for tonight for a Gordon tribute, Jeff Gordon tribute. He's my hero. Fast Track Sims, Justin Brooks Designs, Big Evil Racing, all those guys that sponsor me, my team each and every week. Will and Dylan Motorsports, all those guys over there. All you guys over here at LSRTV, all the guys at Upstate, putting on a great league to race at. Hopefully we could get it, start a little bit earlier next week. And it's all them guys. I mean, it makes it happen for me. They know who they are.
All right, Justin, thanks for talking with us. Hopefully we're able to talk to you again next week if you're able to get another solid finish. We look forward to seeing you and that 33 team try to hold out on this championship lead. You got 3 races left.
Yeah, we're going to put Elliott Realty Machine in Victory Lane next week.
He's calling it now. Your second place finisher tonight, driving the number 33 car, is Justin Brooks. Had to talk to him a little bit out of order as he came home P2. He has to get back out on track, but now down on pit road, third place finisher tonight, Petey, and somebody that had to work for it. Was a top 3 car all race long, was unable to hang on though at the end via a bump and run. Still a podium. You've caught up with Chris Cable.
I've caught up with Chris Cable down here, and Chris, what an event we saw from you. It appeared though late in the event you had this thing locked up, but then Odo just made a move on you that you just never recovered from. You still rebounded, third place finish tonight. Take us through your eventful event.
Well, I gotta say thanks to my sponsors real quick here, K&M Racing Series, Upstate Racing, Craftsman Tools, U.S. Air Force, and thanks to you guys for what you do here. But man, what a hell of a race, wasn't it? We started up front there, had a real great starting spot, and I was tempted to kind of fall to the back there and just kind of let things fall as they may. But once we got going there, we kind of had a long run. I was hanging with Anthony Bunch there throughout that whole run, so I decided to take a chance to stay up there, and yeah, what a race.
What a race it was, Chris, and you did a great job out there tonight. It's a little bit bittersweet, though, knowing that you could have won the event. And what's this do for you and your team moving forward, knowing you have the speed like you had tonight?
Oh, it's an understatement that it's a bittersweet moment. I mean, hell, we've had tough luck the entire season, and we finally get the chance to actually lead the most laps, if I remember correctly, and lost it due to a bump and run, which I must say was textbook. But going forward into the next weeks, I think people know we're here now. I think we've made our statement. We're going to push forward. And a little shout out to Odo. Hey, payback, buddy. We'll get you.
All right, before I let you go catch up with your crew, Chris, who do you got to thank? Who makes it happen for you in the number 05 machine? Sorry, I was confusing you with the Linkowitz for a second.
It's all good. I want to thank the No Look Bandits team, Cody Parker, Josh Kahn. They had some really good cars tonight. And also want to thank, like I said earlier, K&M Racing Series, Upstate Racing League, you guys at LSRTV, Hag TV, just everybody that puts this together does a great job, Al and all of them.
All right, so that was our second place finisher tonight, Chris Cable. Thanks for joining us, and good luck next week.
Yep, thanks.
And meanwhile, Evan Pasoko's caught up in victory lane with Brandon Odo, where the champagne is flying, and so is Brandon.
Got it done. He was undefeated. He keeps that streak alive and had to use the bumper a little bit to get the job done. But your winner tonight, and a desperately needed win for the driver of that number 24, Brandon. He entered tonight 7th overall in the championship standings with 4 races to go. A rough way to kick off your championship. Back on track. How'd you do it? And this race was quite strange because we saw the first 3 quarters of it go with really only 2 yellows and green flag runs in 50-plus increments. The end, though, a whole lot of yellows kind of put you in a position where that bump and run was the only way you were going to be able to get it done, and you made it and you executed it perfect, and you're in victory lane tonight.
Oh, I mean, the race was it was pretty interesting. Like you said, we had that long I think it was around 50 or 60 lap run beginning the race, and then we had another one right after that. And each time I found myself a little bit farther back in the field, and I ended up being able to come back up to the front. So I had confidence in the car, and I knew if we got tires on that last stop, then we would have a really good chance out and to win this race. And we ended up beating a couple people out of pit road that we really needed to beat out, and coming out of there with a really good spot. And it was just a matter of getting around Cable, and I feel really bad, laying the bumper on him. He's a very good racer, good competitor, nothing but respect for the guy. And I feel bad that that's the way it had to happen, but on this track, it's such a lane-dependent track, and it's just a one-lane track, and that's the only way you're going to be able to get it done. So unfortunately, it had to be that way, but I'll take the win. I really needed it for the championship.
Moving forward now, you came and you did what you had to do. You got the job done. However, still 3 races to go, and Justin Brooks came home in second spot. Though the 200-lap races continue through the end of this season, but the next one we have is a Salute to the Heroes 200 from Stafford in 1 week's time. Rolling out of this one, we knew you were confident going into it being undefeated. You keep that streak alive. What's the track record look like for that 24 car out at Stafford, and what are we expecting to see out of that iRacing Memes entry in 1 week's time as you continue to try to make up for lost ground and try to win this championship?
Well, I mean, we go into that race and I mean, we just have nothing but confidence. We have to have confidence. That's the only way that we're gonna be able to execute this championship. And last week was horrible for the championship, and this week kind of made up for it. But like you said, with Brooks finishing in second place, he really makes it difficult, and we're really going to have to be on top of our games for the next 3 races. We're going to have to at least finish in the top 5, if not top 3. And, like always, I'd like to go out and compete for the win. So, I mean, it really doesn't change too much, but we really have to be careful.
Well, you came into this race obviously under a lot of pressure. You got the job done, and it is quite a struggle to get through these next 3 races and, be almost perfect the way they go, and sometimes just wreck it all over the place, just trying to be in the right spot at the right time. You fought for it after starting 9th tonight. You won it, and we look forward to seeing if we can talk to you in these next 3 races via some good finishes and possibly on the championship stage when it's all said and done after the race at Bristol to close things out. But Brandon, before we let you go, you won. Everybody got to see those signature kind of drift-style burnouts through the quarters like they always like to see. Last time we saw that at Irwindale. Very exciting as well. So before we let you go, you're down at Victory Lane. Sponsors and shout-outs, all that good stuff. Who's making this win possible, as well as who's making this run for the championship possible as well?
Well, I'd like to thank Rockstar Recovery, and that's what we needed tonight, was a recovery. So I figured putting that on the car might bring some luck to me tonight. And I'd also like to thank my teammate over at Team iRacing Memes, Anthony Bunch, for helping me out in this race. And I'd like to thank Justin Fuller, too, for helping me out in this race. I'd like to thank DL Performance, Wesley Daniel, Austin Russell, and Andrew Lauer over there giving me this great chassis tonight. And I just got to thank all the fans out there watching, my girlfriend's watching. I know there's a few other people watching out there. So thanks for coming out and enjoying the broadcast. Hopefully we can put a good show on for you for the championship.
All right, Brandon, again, thanks for talking with us. Congratulations, and we wish you and the team nothing but the best of luck here. 3 races to go. Go get that championship.
Thanks, guys.
That is your winner tonight, Indy number 24, Rockstar Recovery, iRacing Memes, Chevrolet Corvette. An interesting front clip on that car. Brandon Otto takes home the win tonight, PD. He did exactly what he needed to do after a rough start to the championship 1 week ago at Concord. And we're going to be past halfway now in 1 week's time. We're starting to see this championship picture begin to form, and there's still an uphill battle for a lot of the drivers left in this with only 3 races to go. You never want to start in a hole, and they got only about Lucas Oil, Stafford, and Bristol left to go before we're able to get the job done. So there's a lot rolling at it tonight, but overall it was a good race. It got pretty interesting at the end, but I do think that the fastest car won the race.
I do think that the fastest car won the race. What an event we saw here. Justin Brooks gave us a reason why he might have a little bit of trouble here. Yes, he's going to have a firm lead on this championship, but if he messes up once, Brandon Odo will be there to reclaim his crown, and it's anything but over at this point. I think Justin Fuller took a huge hit tonight. It's going to be hard for him to come back now, but I think we definitely have 2 clear faces now who are going to battle for this championship, and if Brooks has a problem, don't give up on the Odo machine.
There are still 3 races for things to go downhill or for things to kind of point in the right direction for everybody that's involved in this championship. Want to thank the title sponsor on tonight's race, again, making this possible. The Rent-A-Wreck of Plattsburgh, New York 200 is only made possible by the gang at Rent-A-Wreck. You see them on a lot of the race cars as well. They sponsor one of the awards that is handed out weekly as well. So want to thank them for making this possible. But PD, any predictions before we send it off into our next race?
Predictions? Well, we're going the IRP. It's going to be Prevalent Outline Racetrack. And I'm just going to call it now. Justin Brooks brings home the victory, and Odo finishes second. But then I think Brooks can have issues the next week, Evan. I'm calling it right now. I predicted the next 2 weeks right there.
Yeah, Langley was definitely a very interesting race, to say the least, and it's going to be the next race in 1 week's time. Actually, the Hag TV at, looks like Lucas Oil Raceway. I believe they may have switched those two races around in a little bit of a schedule shuffle. So it's going to be the Hag TV 200 in 1 week's time from Lucas Oil Stafford, followed by the Bristol Motor Speedway to close it out. But that does it from Langley after a wild one. I still want to be calling it the Dude Ranch Speedway, but I think they changed that back in like the 60s or so. But we're going to call it that. So from the Dude Ranch Speedway after an exciting one, congratulations to the 24 of Brandon Odo. He wins and puts himself right back into this championship hunt. On behalf of everybody at the Upstate Racing, all the sponsors, the broadcast crew tonight, myself, Evan Pasoko, PDJ Zeller, and executive producer Laura Lawson, congratulations to the 24 team once again. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next Thursday night when we go back racing. We'll be in Indianapolis. Until then, good night.